What if I told you a leaked video just shook the entire hip-hop world, a clip that seems to link Chief Keef directly to the murder of 6ix9ine's girlfriend? But the real question is, why haven't the police said a word? A blurry video leaks online. Fans swear it shows Chief Keef, others say it's a setup, but the strangest part? Total silence from the police. Is this just rap beef, or the cover-up of something bigger? Rap beefs usually mean drama and diss tracks, but when a leaked video shows bloodshed and Chief Keef becomes the prime suspect, this isn't entertainment anymore. This is war. The world of hip-hop has always balanced on a thin line between performance and reality. For years, rap beefs have fueled the culture, giving fans drama, diss tracks, and endless headlines. But sometimes, those rivalries grow into something darker, something you can't just laugh off online. Take the long-running tension between Tekashi 6ix9ine and Chief Keef. What started as internet trolling and disrespectful taunts eventually spiraled into a dangerous feud that fans still talk about. 6ix9ine wasn't afraid to push boundaries. He insulted Keef's family, mocked his street ties, and turned threats into punchlines for social media. To his followers, it was entertainment. To those on the other side, it was a declaration of war. Over time, the situation escalated. There were reports of shootings on music video sets, whispers of ambushes in New York, and even claims that Keef himself had been targeted. This was no longer playful banter. It was a cycle of violence that kept everyone on edge. Each new headline felt like the prelude to something even worse. Then came the moment that shook the entire culture, a leaked video, grainy and unsettling, that appeared to capture a shooting connected to the feud. It wasn't Hollywood polish. The colors bled together, the camera shook at odd angles, and the audio crackled with background noise. But despite its flaws, or maybe because of them, it felt real. Too real. Within minutes, the footage spread like wildfire across social media. Everyone wanted to be the first to analyze it, to decode its hidden meaning. Online detectives slowed it down frame by frame, freezing the blur of bodies and vehicles, comparing silhouettes, clothing, and hairstyles. Threads popped up on Reddit and Twitter, complete with diagrams and side-by-side comparisons. Some swore the shooter's build and posture were identical to Chief Keef's. Others pushed back, arguing it was a setup, a carefully orchestrated look-alike meant to frame him. What mattered most wasn't whether the clip was authentic. What mattered was how quickly people decided it had to be true. In a culture saturated with conspiracy theories and viral scandals, the internet no longer waits for courts or journalists to sort fact from fiction. A blurry video becomes gospel the moment enough people hit share. That instant acceptance carried weight. For Keef, it wasn't just speculation, it was reputation solidifying in real time. The same artist who once rapped casually about violence was now being tied to a real act of bloodshed, not through official charges, but through hashtags, memes, and heated debates on live streams. For 6ix9ine, the victim wasn't only his girlfriend, but also his grip on the narrative. The man who built an empire out of trolling suddenly found himself out-trolled by silence, as Keef let the internet do the dirty work of amplifying the accusations. And the reaction wasn't just confined to fans. Media outlets couldn't resist the story, but they walked a careful line. Major publications framed their headlines with question marks. Does leaked video implicate Chief Keef? Blogs ran split-screen thumbnails, one blurry figure from the clip beside a photo of Keef at a show. YouTube commentators churned out hour-long breakdowns, pausing and zooming until their screens looked like detective corkboards. Nobody could confirm anything, but nobody could ignore it either. Meanwhile, social media became a stage for theater. Some fans flooded Keef's comments with "Free Sosa" chants, treating him like a folk hero who finally made good on old threats. Others filled 6ix9ine's pages with taunts, saying karma had come for him. The online battlefield wasn't about truth, it was about sides, loyalty, and the thrill of watching chaos unfold in real time. But here's where things got even stranger: the silence from institutions. Normally, when a video surfaces that appears to show a crime, law enforcement moves quickly. We've seen it time and time again: suspects arrested within days, prosecutors holding press conferences, detectives confirming or denying evidence. This time, nothing. Weeks passed, and the leaked video just sat there, dissected by millions, but unacknowledged by police. That absence of official response only fueled speculation. Some argued the silence meant Keef was untouchable, shielded by money and influence. Others whispered that federal investigators were involved, and the lack of action wasn't incompetence, but strategy. If the footage came from surveillance, not a bystander's phone, Maybe the government already knew what happened, but refused to act publicly, afraid of exposing their tools. And then came the strangest twist of all. The footage itself wasn't normal. Digital experts who analyzed the clip noticed odd details. The stabilization seemed too smooth for a handheld device. The audio captured background voices with uncanny clarity, almost as if a directional mic had been used. Most suspicious of all, the metadata, the digital fingerprint that reveals when, where, and how a video was shot, was completely erased. That kind of scrubbing isn't something the average person can do. It requires specialized software and high-level knowledge, the kind usually reserved for intelligence agencies or elite private security firms. So now the question wasn't just who pulled the trigger, but also who leaked the footage and why. Was it meant to expose? To intimidate? To manipulate public opinion? The mystery of the messenger became as important as the act itself. And yet, while fans argued online and experts speculated, the hip-hop industry responded with eerie calm. Normally, when violence touches the culture, labels scramble to release statements calling for peace. Concert promoters cancel shows. Managers issue press releases. None of that happened here. The major players, record labels, streaming platforms, PR firms stayed quiet. Even gossip blogs, famous for exaggerating every rumor, approached the story with restraint. That collective silence hinted at something deeper. Maybe insiders had already been warned to stay away. Maybe legal threats were issued behind the scenes. Or maybe, just maybe, the story was too dangerous for even the most shameless outlets to exploit. And that silence became its own kind of message. It suggested that this wasn't just another beef gone violent, it was a case with implications far bigger than rap. It raised questions about how celebrity crimes are handled in the digital age. Are we entering an era where certain truths are buried not for justice, but for stability? Where footage can be leaked, erased, or manipulated not for accountability, but for control. In the end, the leaked video did more than shock fans. It exposed the fault lines of an entire system, a culture addicted to instant conclusions, an industry afraid to speak, and institutions that pick and choose when to act. Whether real or staged, authentic or fabricated, the clip became a mirror, reflecting just how much we rely on shadows when the truth is too dangerous to face. Fans debated endlessly. Was the attack a carefully planned hit, meant to send a clear warning? Or was it random violence that happened to touch the wrong people at the wrong time? Maybe, some argued, it wasn't random at all, but a staged setup designed to drag Chief Keef deeper into a storm. Others wondered if it was simply coincidence. Tragic, yes, but not part of a larger plot. Whatever the angle, once the clip surfaced, conspiracy theories took on a life of their own. Reddit became ground zero for the debate. Threads stretched for thousands of comments as armchair detectives pieced together timelines, cross-referenced old beefs, and dug up cryptic lyrics that seemed to foreshadow the violence. Screenshots, grainy stills, and maps of supposed locations filled the forums like evidence boards in a detective's office. Each new theory only pulled more people into the frenzy. On YouTube, the clip became a content machine. Creators slowed it down, enhanced the frames, added arrows and circles to highlight details, a hoodie here, a tattoo there. They spoke in the tones of true crime narrators, warning viewers to look closely and listen carefully. Some channels treated it like entertainment, while others leaned into fear, pushing the narrative that hip-hop had crossed into something darker than music, a war zone where every lyric might be prophecy. And soon, the discussion moved beyond the video itself. It became less about who was in the frame and more about what the footage represented. The bigger question was impossible to ignore. How often has the line between performance and reality in hip-hop led to real blood being spilled? This isn't a new debate. For decades, rap has balanced on the edge of art and authenticity. Fans crave realness, but that demand can turn dangerous when artists feel pressured to prove their words outside the booth. Image sells records, but in the wrong environment, that same image invites confrontation. What begins as branding lyrics, videos, social media posts can spill into neighborhoods, crews, and real lives. The leaked video was a reminder of that fragile balance. Here was evidence, or at least what looked like evidence, of violence playing out in real time. Whether genuine or manipulated, it carried weight because it confirmed what fans already feared, that some feuds don't stay in songs or interviews. They escalate, they spread, and sometimes they claim lives that had nothing to do with the music at all. For younger fans, The video blurred the line even further. Was this real life or just another part of the show? Was it tragedy or spectacle? The fact that people debated the authenticity of the violence shows how deeply entertainment has reshaped the way we process danger. A shooting wasn't just a crime anymore, it was content. And that might be the most unsettling truth of all. In a culture where clicks and views determine value, tragedy becomes fuel. The more shocking the footage, the more it spreads. The more it spreads, the more people talk. And the more they talk, the more artists, labels, and even entire genres get pulled into a cycle where violence isn't just a byproduct of fame, it's part of the marketing. The clip might never be verified. The shooter's identity might remain a mystery. But the debates it sparked revealed something bigger than any one feud. The dangerous way hip-hop's blurred line between image and reality can turn into a battlefield, where the cost isn't just reputation, but lives. The truth is, when trolling turns personal, when family, loyalty, and respect get dragged into the spotlight, the stakes change. What might look like a joke on Instagram can carry real-world consequences. For artists tied to street backgrounds, credibility isn't just branding. It's survival. This story, whether fueled by fact, rumor, or exaggeration, reveals an uncomfortable truth. Rap beefs aren't just entertainment. They're cautionary tales. The moment someone crosses the line between music and real-life warfare, the cost is no longer streams or clout, it's blood. Almost as soon as the footage leaked, the internet went wild with theories. Some claimed the shooting had roots in old New York beefs, others pointed toward Chicago rivalries, and a few even whispered that powerful people in the industry wanted 6ix9ine silenced before his antics brought down bigger names. It wasn't just a feud anymore. It looked like a storm of alliances, betrayals, and high-stakes business colliding all at once. The truth is, Tekashi's trolling was never harmless. Every insult, every public mockery cost him something: lost collaborations, canceled tours, broken sponsorship deals. His mouth turned opportunities into landmines. And then came the darkest idea yet. What if Tekashi himself staged it all? This is the same man who once blurred the line between a real kidnapping and a publicity stunt. The same artist who treated danger as performance. Conspiracy theorists argued that faking his girlfriend's death would reignite his buzz and point the blame at his biggest rival. But there's one obvious hole in that story. Why risk someone close to him? Critics say even Tekashi wouldn't go that far. Still, the internet is a breeding ground for doubt, and where there's smoke, people are quick to assume fire. Then a second clip surfaced, shorter, blurrier, but even more disturbing. It seemed to show a figure walking away from the scene and dropping something metallic on the ground. Fans freeze-framed the moment and swore it looked like a pendant linked to Chief Keef's crew. Was this a signature move, a taunt left behind? Or was it a setup meant to frame him? From there, the theories only grew darker. Some insisted the music industry itself was pulling strings. To them, Tekashi had become a liability, too chaotic, too reckless, too radioactive for brands or executives to handle. What better way to control him than by manufacturing a tragedy that stripped him of leverage while simultaneously tarnishing Chief Keef's legacy? Others suggested an even colder scenario. Maybe the girlfriend wasn't just a victim. Maybe she knew too much. Maybe she carried secrets about money, deals, or betrayals that people in power needed buried. If that were true, her death wasn't about Tekashi at all. It was a cleanup job. Yet for all the speculation, the haunting reality remains. The video exists. It shows someone pulling the trigger. And still, no arrests, no official statements, just silence. Some say law enforcement doesn't have enough evidence. Others believe they're staying quiet because exposing the truth would drag too many names into the light. The aftermath has forced hip-hop to look in the mirror. Fans are left asking whether the culture has crossed a line it can't walk back from. This was never just about one feud. It was the explosion of years of grudges, gang ties, and industry politics, all tangled into one tragedy. Tekashi wasn't just an artist with rivals. He was a magnet for enemies. His endless trolling, his courtroom testimony, his public mockery of dead rappers, he painted a bullseye on his entire existence. And when you paint a target that big, The people standing closest to you often end up taking the hit first. Back in 2018, he still had protection, a crew with money and muscle to shield him. By 2025, that shield was gone. The bridges he burned had left him isolated, and the enemies he made were waiting. In the streets, when the king is untouchable, people go after the queen. And maybe the harshest truth of all? The industry played its part. For years, Chief Keef was vilified as a symbol of drill violence. Yet when 6ix9ine mocked him and stoked the fire, the same industry gave Tekashi the stage, the interviews, the spotlight. They laughed at the trolling. They cashed in on the chaos. And now, the consequences are impossible to ignore. Now that blood has been spilled, everyone suddenly plays innocent. Where are the labels that turned Tekashi's antics into profit? Where are the platforms that pushed his trolling to the top of our feeds? Where are the commentators who egged him on, knowing how dangerous it was? The silence is deafening. Nobody wants to admit they helped transform a circus act into something deadly. If this really came from surveillance, not a random witness, it raises an uncomfortable possibility. The authorities may know exactly what happened, but refuse to move, because doing so would reveal tools they'd rather keep secret. And so the case hangs in limbo. A woman is dead, the culture is divided, and the silence, from Keef, from Tekashi, from the law, is louder than any confession. Wiping metadata from a video isn't something just anyone can do. It takes high-level tools and expertise, the kind usually found in intelligence circles or private security firms. Whoever scrubbed this footage wasn't just hiding fingerprints, they were following serious operational protocols. Which begs the question, were they protecting a source or protecting themselves? Equally strange is how the music world has reacted, or rather, how it hasn't. Normally, when violence erupts, labels rush to call for calm, managers send out cease and desist letters, and venues either beef up security or cancel shows altogether. But this time, nothing. No heartfelt statements, no unity campaigns, no industry-wide outcry. Even gossip blogs, usually quick to spin tragedy into headlines, have stayed unusually cautious. That silence is louder than words. It suggests people behind the scenes know more than they're letting on, whether it's a quiet warning from law enforcement, the work of powerful lawyers, or just the recognition that this story is too radioactive to touch. Either way, the quiet feels coordinated. And that raises a disturbing possibility. Maybe this marks a shift in how violent crimes involving celebrities are handled. In a world where every tragedy instantly trends online, perhaps some cases are now being labeled too sensitive for public consumption. Maybe the risk of sparking copycat crimes, civil unrest, or international scandal is enough to bury the truth before it ever reaches the headlines. If that's true, then what we're witnessing isn't just a cover-up of a shooting. It's the rise of a shadow justice system, one where certain cases get handled off the record, with outcomes decided in private rooms instead of courtrooms. That would explain why Chief Keef keeps moving freely, posting cryptic messages with no fear of arrest. It would explain why 6ix9ine, usually addicted to attention, has gone eerily silent. Both of them are quiet at the exact moment their feud should be at its loudest. The implications go far beyond hip-hop. If law enforcement is picking and choosing which crimes to pursue based on hidden criteria, what does that mean for justice? If the music industry is coordinating silence, what does that mean for freedom of the press? And if surveillance footage can be leaked, polished, and repurposed for hidden agendas, what does that mean for truth itself? These aren't questions that can be answered by freeze-framing a video or combing through Instagram posts. They require transparency from systems that seem determined to operate in the dark. Until that happens, if it ever does, the leaked footage won't be remembered as proof of a crime. It will be remembered as proof of how little the public is ever allowed to know. Because in the end, this silence doesn't protect the people at the center of the feud. It protects the system that decides which truths we're permitted to hear. Thanks for watching.